Hi guys, Alex here with Inside, and today we have a special educational edition for you of key investor mistakes. We're going to cover 5 main mistakes that I see people make over and over again, and avoiding these will save you millions and millions of dollars. So watch until the end so you can become the best investor possible. The first one is magical thinking. I see people sometimes getting into the market with the unrealistic expectation that they're going to resell prior to the next payment, sometimes in as little as 6 months. Sometimes I see people buying multiple units when they can actually only afford the first 40 or 50%, and they don't actually have the full sum. This actually leads to a lot of stress and losing money. So I have an investor who bought a unit and was promised by a different broker that they would of course be able to resell it at a profit within 6 months. And sure enough, 6 months later, she comes to me and the other broker is not answering her phone. And we realize that this is not actually possible. So what ends up happening is you end up in a lot of stress and you actually can't sell the units. You have to enter into a distressed deal and you end up losing money. So what's the solution? The solution is have realistic expectations of the market. In real estate, the minimum turnaround is 1.5 to 2 years. So just recognize that, yes, there will be exceptions to this, but on average, it's going to be 2 years before you can actually resell and exit your investments. So be mindful of this and only buy units or any sort of property or any investment when you can actually have enough already to cover the entire sum. Not magically hope that it will come into your life in the next few years and that you'll resell before you'll need to pay. Odds are it's not going to happen, and it will create undue stress on you and your broker and potentially the buyers who are going to be buying from you, and the deal will fall apart. So it's best for you to maintain a state of being relaxed and confident as much as possible throughout the transaction to make sure you actually make money. The second mistake I see people making is greed. And what this means is I see some investors asking for kickbacks, for instance, percentages of brokers' commissions, or offering to pay less than market rate, for instance, 1% instead of 2% for secondary transactions. Now, let's play this out. What happens when you work with someone who's willing to forego part of their own value to work with you? First of all, this means they're short-term focused and they're only thinking about the money. They're not thinking about their relationship. And more importantly, this is someone who doesn't value themselves. And this is someone who folds under pressure. Now, you might save 30 or 50,000 dirham right now on this transaction through working with someone like that. But keep in mind that on the back end, when it's time to negotiate with the developer for a delay of payment because something came up in your life, or it's time to negotiate rent or an exit and a resale to another investor, this person is not going to be able to negotiate on your behalf for the highest possible price, and you're actually going to be losing hundreds of thousands of dirham or more because of this person's inability to structure agreements confidently. So what's the solution? Well, you get exactly what you pay for. So understand the value of working with a professional and be willing to pay and be happy to pay for quality service. For instance, with some of my investors, I've had agreements where instead of working for the standard 2, 3, 4% commission, we've had agreements where we split the profit of what they actually receive in a sale between anywhere in 10 and 20%. And so, of course, this means I'm more incentivized to work with someone like this. I'm not sharing this with you to say that you have to do this, but just understand that there is a class of investors who think in these terms and that they tend to actually be more successful in life because they're more generous with their time and their resources, and they're very deliberate about making sure they're always involved and creating win-win scenarios, not just about taking for themselves. The third key mistake is not having a clear vision. And sometimes this can look like someone saying, send me a listing of the 2 bedrooms you have in Dubai. This always gets a good laugh in the office. Or just saying, oh, I want to buy Imar or Damak or another big brand simply because you've heard of the brand. Somehow hoping that down the line, it will make you money. Guys, I'm sorry to break it to you, it doesn't work this way. Investing is more nuanced and you can get lucky, or you can be very deliberate and thorough in your investments and actually have a methodology for becoming more wealthy. Now, what do you think happens when you actually want to resell? That you can just list your property on Property Finder or do Bizzle and magically create an exit? It doesn't work that way. So first of all, if you work with the right person, they're going to be constantly monitoring your investment, your portfolio, and proactively looking for buyers. And where do you think those buyers come from? I can tell you they actually don't come from the listings in the classifieds. Most of my deals and most of my colleagues' deals, they happen through our extremely large network of investors and clients throughout the world across different industries. So that usually when one client asks me to sell something, I immediately know who another client is elsewhere in the world who's ready to purchase because I know exactly their parameters and I'm monitoring their portfolios. So the solution is, once again, work with someone who values the long term and understands how to work with portfolios and understands how to manage relationships so that they're thinking longer ahead, which will be the best value for you to maximize your profit on your investment. The fourth is lack of flexibility, you can also call it ego, and thinking that you already know everything and you're the smartest person in the room. Let's take a step back. If I were coming to need, say, a medical procedure, I would go to the doctor and I would trust what they're saying because they're professional. And even if I've read all of Wikipedia and I've had medical procedures in the past, does not make me an expert. Similarly in real estate, when you're coming in and you're saying, I want this thing, and you're demanding information on a particular project because you think you know what's best in the market, you could know a lot, but that doesn't mean you know everything. And what's going to happen is you might end up purchasing a property that you're convinced is good for some reason, and in the end, it just stands there. I have a case with an investor who bought a property in Sobha Hartland this way, and now, a year later, she wants to exit, and it's impossible. Why? Because actually the secondary transactions are less expensive than her off-plan resale, and it's not possible to exit at this time. But she was convinced when she was buying it. So, of course, this is important to work with someone who will explain the nuances to you. And the best way to do this is take off your crown and put on your student hat and recognize that you don't know everything, and to be humble and learn, because the right broker will actually educate you and work with you as a partner to help you understand the market in a nuanced way and help you become a better investor. And then together work with you to find the right investment specifically for you, for your current life, family, financial situation, and for your portfolio vision. So the right person will work on all of those with you, and you have to be humble and to be able to accept learning in order to do this. And of course, the result is you're going to feel confident and relaxed throughout the deal process. You're going to know that someone is watching out for you, has your back, and you don't need to stress about how you're going to exit because that's already taken care of. One PS or addition to this is that most of the time, whenever I see people coming in with a desire for a particular project, the things we end up picking are 95% of the time not that project. And just recognize that most of the time you're going to be drawn to something for particular reasons. My job is to help you expand your vision, understand why, and then from there we'll actually see if it's the best project for you. It could be, but a good broker will help you expand your vision. So just be open to that and recognize overall the dynamic that most of the time when people say what they want, that's not actually the case. And so just recognize that flexibility can go a long way towards helping you make the right investments. And this goes for all decisions, not just in investments, but also in life. And lastly, the mistake of playing poker or not communicating and keeping your cards close to the vest throughout the process. What this looks like is, for instance, a person disappearing and just not responding to messages, even though you've just spent 3 days with them, or answering with one-word phrases. Look, everybody is busy, but keep in mind that your broker, if you're working with the right person, is extremely well connected in Dubai. And in many cases, like for instance, I have connections in very different industries all around the world, and I can use this for your benefit, or you can just not use that as a resource. So recognize that when you stop communicating, you're only hurting yourself, because you might think that it's important to play people off each other. In reality, it doesn't work that way. So the best deals, the best investments, the best relationships are just that, they're relationships, and investments happen from that. So that means if something changes for you and you suddenly decide you no longer want to make an investment, let the person you're working with know in a timely way. Keep an open dialogue and say, hey, this is what's coming up for me, or actually I feel scared or I feel concerned here. Can you help me understand this better? Or I'm looking at another project. Can we work together to figure this out? That's the kind of relationship you want to be building with your broker, because then it's a partner-based relationship that's involving open communication. And in that way, your broker can actually help you. Because if I don't know what you're thinking or feeling, I can't help you. And simply suggesting and throwing things at you is not how I work. It's a waste of yours and my time. So in reality, the best way to do this is to maintain transparency and recognize that I'm here to help you and I have your best interests at heart. And so when that happens, the more you share, the more I can actually guide you along the way, even if it's not in real estate. So as a case in point, I had a client who was going through some work challenges. I was able to share a breathwork practice that I run with him, and it was helping him improve his state and how he felt. It had nothing to do necessarily with the deal. And keep in mind that because of my connections, I connect my clients with other investors, with potential employees, with potential new investment projects. And so with some of them, we travel around the world. And so this is a super important resource, your social capital, and you could be leveraging this, or by closing yourself off and just disappearing and ghosting, not only do you forego that resource, but you also annoy your broker and you get blacklisted at his firm and in his entire network. So not really such a good idea because it's a pretty small world and it will come back to you. So overall, let's sum these up. My intention with sharing all of these is so that I know most of you already know these on some level, but I just want to drive them home so that you understand that the value of managing your relationships and investing in them, being generous, being open, being communicative, being open to learning and being humble are keys to not just in life, but also in investments. Because I see this play out time and time again, that the people who enjoy life the most, who are the most successful, most easygoing, have the best relationships, make the most money, are people who follow these strategies, some intuitively, some spent many years learning them. And I want to make sure that I share these so that perhaps you can see some of this in you and are inspired to perhaps align yourself with these values. And if these resonate for you, I'd be very happy to work with you. Please reach out. You can just make sure you say it's for Alex, and I'll be happy to work with you, even have a dialogue. Most of my clients are my friends, so I'm always looking forward to meeting value-aligned people. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate your attention. My name is Alex. I'll see you next time.